Hi, hello. Thank you for attending my Karma class this evening. Most of you know that I am coming towards the end of the first part of my yoga teacher training, and this is a free class provided as part of that training, and you'll see that it's being filmed. None of you are in shot so far as the camera is concerned, so please don't worry about that. It's just going to capture me and my teaching so that it can be assessed. So today's class we expect is going to last somewhere between an hour and 15 minutes. And as we have just transitioned from winter into spring, we're going to theme today's class around really that change in season and around the season of spring. And in the science of Ayurveda, spring is a season that's associated with the Kapha dosha. And Kapha has elements of heaviness and coolness and slowness. So today's class is going to balance those elements out with some nice fluid flows to create some lightness and some heat in our bodies. And we're also going to reflect the element of water, which is associated with the Kapha dosha as well, by really using our movement and our breath to create some nice fluidity in our bodies. And at the end of our class, we're going to, during the course of our relaxation period, as we embark on this new season, reflect a little bit upon the niyama of what we call Santosha. So contentment with where we are in our lives, and avoiding the temptation to always want to have more. So we'll revisit that at the conclusion of our class. But before we start on any of that, we've got a really nice fun thing to do at the start of our class would just be to do a little bit of pranayama work. So that's effectively working with our breath rather than working with our movement. And what we are going to try today is a few rounds of a pranayama exercise called Kapha. And that literally translates as the skull shining breath, which is a really nice purifying practice, and it sort of clears out stagnancy and brings a nice invigorating energy to our bodies. So we are going to do a few rounds of that. Please feel free to join in if you feel uncomfortable at any time, or you don't like the sensation, or you feel a little bit lightheaded. Just come back to some nice, easy, relaxing, deep breaths in and out. But the way that we do our Kapha is that we effectively use a contraction of the stomach muscles to force the breath out. And the breath comes out through the nostrils in a nice, short, sharp burst. And because of that, because we force the air out, we then have a nice sort of almost a reflex action of a really effortless inhale. And as we progress in the Kapha practice, we can increase the number of exhales that we take, short, sharp exhales, in between inhales. But for today's purposes, for our first try, we are just going to do an inhale in and an exhale out. Just so that you can experience the sensation, and we're going to go through 3 rounds of 10 breaths each. So just by way of practice before we start, we'll take a sort of half an inhale in, and then really focus on the stomach muscles, and as you contract the stomach muscles, short, sharp exhale through the nostrils. Lovely. So really nice audible exhale, nice forceful breath out. So we'll start with our first round of 10. So if you just want to follow my lead, and then we'll have a little rest in between. So first round of 10, nice relaxed easy seats on your mat, and we'll take an inhale in Lovely. So that's our first round of 10. And take a breath here and exhale, and then an inhale in. And inhale in, and an easy exhale. And one more breath in and exhale out, and we'll do our final round of 10. So short inhale, and nice big inhale in, and nice soft exhale out. Very nice. Okay, so we are going to start our practice today by coming over into our child's pose. So we'll come with our feet and our hips towards the back of the mat, and we will open up the knees and keep the big toes of our feet together, so we create this nice space in between our thighs, and we'll use that space in order to allow our bodies to come down in a nice relaxed position down to the floor. So hips are going back towards the heels, and we will bring our arms out in front of us and stretch the fingertips towards the front of the mat as we gently bring our foreheads down towards the floor. Now you have blocks in front of you, so if your forehead isn't comfortable coming down to the floor, we can just bring forehead down to the short end of our block, if that's more comfortable. And just take a couple of nice easy breaths into the lower back. Feel that nice release in the lower spine. And then what we're going to do is, on the next inhale, just take our fingertips of both arms over to the right hand side of the mat, and then settle back in. Hips stay nice and even, facing forward. And we're just creating a nice gentle stretch at the start of the class along that left hand side of the body. And then we're going to inhale back through centre. Exhale. And then on the inhale, take the arms over to the other side of the mat, the left hand side of the mat. Again, hips stay nice and even. Don't let that right hand hip ride up too much away from the heels. And again, nice stretch along the right hand side. You can breathe into that space created on the right hand side of the body. Very nice. And we'll come back to centre. Nice breath in and exhale. And on our next inhale, we're going to come up to our tabletop position, so onto our hands and knees, and we're going to have wrists and elbows beneath the shoulders and knees beneath the hips, and knees about hip width apart. And we're going to take a round of our cat-cows. So we're going to start on an inhale by dropping the belly, slight arch in the back, and tilting the chin upwards. So looking up towards the sky. And then on the exhale, we're going to tilt the pelvis under, round through the upper back, and tuck the chin to chest. Inhale, drop the belly, and look upwards. And exhale, tuck the pelvis, round through, and tuck the chin. And just work with your own breath for a few rounds of this, so inhaling as we look up, and exhale as we tumble back in. And inhale up, and exhale as we tuck under. Very nice. And then we'll inhale back to a nice flat back. We're going to push back into our child's pose, head towards the floor, and then using our breath to create that nice fluid breath and motion working together. On the inhale, we're going to come forward into our baby cobra. So straighten the legs, hips come towards the floor, elbows tucked in, palms by the side of the chest, little arch in the back and the chest pushing forward. Then on the exhale, we'll push back to our child's pose. Inhale forward into our baby cobra. And exhale, push back into child's pose. And you feel yourself warming up through the spine as we do this movement. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. And inhaling forward and exhaling back. We're going to inhale forward again, but drop all the way down, chest to the floor. Hands to remain where they are. They might need to come just a little bit further away from our side of our body. And what we're going to do is we are going to have the elbows facing up towards the sky, and we're going to tent the fingers. So we've got a nice little tent of our fingers and thumbs by the side of our bodies. And we're going to inhale and push up into our baby cobra. And then on the exhale, we're firstly going to drop the left cheek to the floor. And then push up. And then we'll take the other side. So we're looking to sort of drop in that right shoulder and right cheek. And pushing back up on the inhale and again to the left. So a nice stretch in the front of the shoulder. Inhale, push up, and exhale over to the other side. And inhale, push up, and exhale, dropping that cheek to the floor. Inhale, push up, and exhale to the right. Lovely. Inhaling back up. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to firstly lower down to the floor, so lower chest to the floor, and we're going to put the left arm straight out to the side of us. So right arm stays as it is, and we are going to bend that right knee, flex the foot, so sole of the foot towards the ceiling. And what we're going to do is we are literally just going to use that right arm to push away with our right leg off of the floor and turning it so that the right foot is reaching for the floor. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't touch the floor. You can rest your head on the floor so you're relaxed. And where you will feel the stretch is across the front of that left shoulder. So just going further deeper into that shoulder stretch, into the front of the chest as well. And if you feel some tension there, just breathing into that space and allowing the muscles, the tendons to release. And then we'll inhale back to center. And then we're literally going to take that to the other side. So this time it will be your right arm that comes out. Left arm bends up. Tent the fingers. And then bend that left knee. Flex the foot, sole of the foot to the ceiling. And again, you're just turning with your body over onto the right hand side so that the foot reaches the floor. Lovely, very nice. And just breathe into that shoulder area. Feeling that nice stretch across the front of the shoulder, lovely. And then on the next inhale, we'll come back out of that and onto our chests. And then we'll put palms of the hands onto the floor and again push back into our child's pose. Very nice. And we come back up onto our hands and knees. And we're going to come onto our knees. If that's not comfortable for you, sitting on your knees, you can come into your into a seated position, or otherwise you can come up so you're not sitting back on your ankles sitting upwards. You can, if you want to, there's a couple of blankets, you can put a little blanket under your knees if that feels a little bit more comfortable for you. And what we're going to do is we're just going to work for a couple of moments just on opening up and warming up those shoulders a little bit more. So you've each got a strap with you, and whereabouts you hold on to the strap is really going to depend on how mobile your own shoulders are. So you can obviously, as you go through this practice, this exercise, just see where feels good for you. And what we're going to do is, if you take a slightly maybe wider grip to start with, we are going to inhale our arms up to the sky, and then exhale the arms back and over. Lovely. And then inhale up and exhale over. So if you're finding that easy, you can narrow your grip slightly, which will obviously make it slightly more restrictive. So inhale up and exhale over, and inhale up and exhale forward. Inhale up and exhale over, and inhale up and exhale forward. And one more time, inhale up and exhale over, and inhale up and exhale forward. Very nice. And then we're going to perhaps very slightly narrow your grip on the strap, and we're going to put arms overhead like this. And we're going to be pulling down, so pulling down on the strap, bending the elbows up to the sides and pushing up, and pull down and push up. Inhale down, exhale up, and inhale down and exhale up, and one more, inhale down and exhale up. Lovely. Give yourselves a nice little shake out, and we are going to come up to our standing position on our mat. Now, before we go into our first flow of the class, our flow is going to involve us coming into the chair pose. And chair pose, although it's commonly called that, is in fact also known as the fierce pose. So it's a good pose for creating heat and strengthening the legs as well. So for our chair pose, we can either have our feet together, or if it feels more comfortable to you, you can have them with a little bit of gap between the feet, between the knees. And in our chair pose, we're going to sink backwards, almost as though if you regularly work out at the gym, into almost like a squat position. So we're going to come back with the hips, bend at the knees. And we don't want our knees to be way forward over our feet. We want them to be back so they're not extending forward over the toes. We don't want to have a big arch in the back, and neither do we want to artificially round in the pelvis. So we want a nice neutral pelvis as we go backwards. And you'll really feel that the quads and the legs engaging, because they're obviously taking the strain. Engage the core, and then we can either bring our hands to heart center, or we can lift the arms forward and up, and good energy stretching through the fingertips. So this is our chair pose, which we're going to use during the course of our flow. And then we can push up from here and hands to our heart center. So as we go through the flow, we are just going to work with the breath. Nice, fluid, easy movements. So just follow my voice, follow the demonstration, and breathe and enjoy. So we are going to start by inhaling, raising arms up overhead. And then we are going to sit back into our chair pose. As we exhale, very nice. Nice inhale in, and then we're going to fold down into our forward fold. Now this is our first forward fold of the class, and what we want to be doing is folding from the hips, not from the lower back. So fold from the hips. You're going to feel a real stretch down those hamstrings, so take as much knee bend as we need, especially as we're still warming up. Belly over thighs and reach towards the floor. Now you can use a block in front of you if that's easier for you. No expectation that you need to be touching the floor. We're going to now do our half lift, so inhale, nice flat back, hands to shins, and then fold back down. Now bend the knees, palms come to the floor, and we're going to step back into our high plank. So again, shoulders over wrists, nice strong engagement of the core. We're going to drop the knees, bring down our chest and our belly, and then push up to our baby cobra. And exhale, tuck the toes, and push back into our downward facing dog. Now again, first downward facing dog of the class, so probably feeling a little bit tight in the backs of the legs. So we're looking at feet probably about hip width-ish apart, maybe just a little bit wider. Hands nice and spread, so fingers spread, push nice and strongly into the floor. Tailbone up towards the sky, and head and neck really nice and relaxed. And we'll just take a second here. You can pedal out those heels if that feels nice. So lift one heel, bend the knee, and repeat on the other side. Just allowing the calves and the hamstrings to wake up a little bit. So you don't need to worry about heels touching the floor at all. Very nice. And then come to a nice still position. Now on the next inhale, we are going to step forward with our right leg. Now you can do this all in one go. We're bringing our foot up to sort of between our hands, or you can do it into two separate steps. And we're going to land the back heel, and we'll have our back foot at about a 45-degree angle out to the side of our mat. And then we're going to sweep the arms up, front knee bent, and come into our warrior one. Very nice. Nice deep breath in. And another. We're going to exhale. Inhale. And then we're going to bring hands back down to the floor. We're going to step forward with our back foot into our forward fold. And then we're going to sweep the arms up and come back into our chair. Very nice. One more breath in. And exhale. And then on the inhale, push up to our standing and hands to heart center. Lovely. Now we're going to take that flow on the opposite side. So nice deep breath in, arms up overhead. And then on the exhale, we're going to fold down from the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands on the floor and step back into our high plank. Now we're going to drop the knees again, untuck the toes, come down to our chest, belly, chin, and then push up on the inhale to our baby cobra. Very nice. Exhale, tuck the toes, and push back into our downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here, hopefully feeling a little bit looser in the backs of the legs this time. And then we're going to step forward this time with our left leg. So inhale and step forward. And then we're going to turn the back foot, heel towards the floor, foot at about 45 degrees. And then we're going to come up into our warrior one. Now you might just want to step your foot a little bit closer. Lovely, that's very nice. And then front knee, sorry, bended, and then sweep the arms up. Nice strong warrior one. Hips facing towards the front of the mat. And then we're going to rain those arms back down. We're going to step the right foot forward to meet the left. Exhale into our forward fold, and then inhale up into our chair. And sink those hips. Don't hold the breath. Nice inhale, nice exhale. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale, push up, hands to heart center. Lovely. So we're going to take another round of those, so one on each side, but we're going to add in a little bit more fluid movements. And as we go through this flow, if you prefer to, rather than taking your knees, chest, chin and into baby cobra, we can do our chaturanga, our four-legged staff pose, and we can push up into our upward facing dog. Obviously on your chaturanga, we want the elbows nice and tight in towards the body and nice, strong, engaged core. So if you're not comfortable with that, haven't done it before, stick with the first option. So we're going to start with a nice big inhale in, and then exhale down to our forward fold. Then we're going to inhale up and down to our forward fold. We are now going to step back to our plank. Very nice. And on this occasion, before we go down into our chaturanga, we are going to take some high planks to our downward facing dogs. So we're going to inhale here and then arch the back slightly and exhale back into our downward dog. Inhale forward and exhale into our downward facing dog. Now if this is a bit strong for you, we can drop the knees, come forward into our baby cobra, push back into our child's pose. But if you're happy, you can stay in your high plank, inhale forward and exhale back. And inhale forward, exhale back. And this time we're going to inhale forward, and we can either take our option of our chaturanga or our knees, chest, chin, and either baby cobra or our upward facing dog, nice and strong, chest forward. And then push back into our downward facing dog. Very nice. Couple of breaths here. And then we're going to start by stepping forward with our right foot between our hands, so on the inhale. And this time we're going to drop the back knee and untuck that back foot. Very nice. So we're in our low lunge. And again, we don't want knee to come too far forward over the toes. So nice straight line, knee to ankle. And what we're going to do is work again with the breath, pushing back on the exhale into our half split. Then we're going to come forward into our low lunge and exhale into our half split. So we're literally pushing the hips back, flexing the front foot, as much bend in the knee as you need, but feeling the stretch in the hamstring. Inhale forward and exhale back. And again, just working with the breath. Inhale forward, exhale back. And inhale forward and exhale back. And we're just going to take a couple of breaths here in this position. And when we're in our half split, it's nice to think about pulling backwards on the front hip, so in this case on the right hip, pushing forward on the left hip. So what we're looking to do is just to create some evenness between the two hips. And then we can relax into this stretch. Forehead coming down towards the shin, but not touching, doesn't need to touch. Just feeling a nice stretch. Very nice. And then we're going to come forward again on the inhale, and then we'll pop the hands down, tuck the back toe and push up, and then we'll step forward into our warrior one and sweep the arms up. Lovely. And then on the exhale, arms come back down. Bring the left foot forward to meet the right. Forward fold. And we're going to sweep up into our chair. Sit the hips back, core nice and engaged. Remember, option, hands to heart. And then push up to our standing, hands to heart center. Very nice. Everyone good? Okay, so I'm going to take that now on the other side. Same options apply. So inhale, nice deep breath in, arms up overhead. And exhale, down to our forward fold. And we're going to inhale, half lift, and exhale, back down to our forward fold. Hands planted, and step back to our high plank. And we're going to take another set of those high plank to downward dog waves, or of course the child's pose to baby cobra. So we're going to exhale, push the hips back, and inhale, rolling forward through the spine. Exhale, push back, and inhale, come forward. Exhale, push back, and inhale, come forward. I just like to think of this as being a bit like an ocean wave, so really nice and fluid with the movement. Inhale forward and exhale back, and inhale forward, and then we'll take either our chaturanga or our knees chest chin, and then up into our baby cobra or upward dog, and then tuck the toes, push back into our downward facing dog. Very nice. We're going to step this time the left foot forward on the inhale. So step that forward. We're going to drop the back knee, untuck the toes, and we're going to take another round of those low lunge to half split movements. So on the exhale, we're going to push back, straighten the front leg and flex that foot. Hips over knees, and then inhale to come forward, chest shining forward, and then exhale, push back, inhale, come forward, and exhale, push back, inhale, come forward, and exhale, push back. And again, we'll just take a few breaths now in this half split position. So think about again, pushing forward, this time that right hip, and perhaps pulling back on the left. Even up the hips, and just use the breath, use the exhale to sink down over that front leg. Really nice. Inhale in and exhale out. And we're going to inhale forward back into our low lunge. We're going to tuck the back toe. Nice strong legs pushing up. And then we're going to step that back foot forward and into our warrior one position. And then we're going to sweep the arms upwards. So nice and strong. Just adjust yourselves if you need a bit of adjustment. Front leg bent, Really nice, lovely. Stretching up. Nice strong pose. Breath in. And then arms come down towards the floor. We're going to step the back foot into our forward fold. And then sweep the arms up into our chair. Inhale in. Exhale out. And then straighten those legs and push back up to standing. Lovely. So hopefully that's created a nice bit of warmth and movement within the bodies. So one of the reasons that we stretched out and warmed up our shoulders nicely earlier is because we are going to have a little go at eagle pose during the course of today's class, which is always fun. So you all have a block, should you need one, and I have, just so that I can show you, a nice wrapped up towel, and it just goes to prove that anything can be used to improvise a prop for yoga should we want to. So we're just going to keep that to one side, and we are going to do a little bit of practice of our eagle legs. So what we want is a nice strong standing position to start with. So feet rooted into the floor, lifting up through the fronts of the thighs, core engaged and shoulders relaxed. So in our mountain pose. Lovely. And we're going to practice first with our right leg over our left leg. So I'm going to do it the opposite way to you, so that we're effectively using the same leg. And what we're going to do is we are going to sink back as if we were going into our chair pose, but we're going to lift the right leg off the floor and we're going to cross it over the front of the other leg. Now if you want to, you can have your block by the side and literally just bring your toe over to block, because you're creating that tension, that squeezing between the inner thighs, which is what we're looking for, which is what the strength of the pose is. If the length of your legs allows, you can take the toes of the right leg and tuck them between our calves, behind our calves. Hands to heart centre. Lovely. Just practice with the balance, doesn't matter if you fall out, just come back in again. Really nice. And then untuck or take the toe back to the block and then push up to standing. Lovely. And then we'll have a try with the legs on the other side. Might feel slightly different one side to the other. So we are this time for you going to be using your left leg. So standing on the right, and then we are going to be sitting back into our chair position. Now hands to heart centre, hands on hips if that's easier. And then we're going to take that left leg and cross it over the right. And again, we can bring toes to the block just to get ourselves balanced, or if that's what feels comfortable for you, that's absolutely fine. Or we can take those toes and tuck them behind the calf. So what we're creating is this real heat, this real strength, squeezing between the thighs. And that's where the power of the pose is coming from in the lower body. Lovely, really nice. Smashing. One more breath. And then perhaps untuck the toes. If you're not there already, pop them on your block. And pushing up, back to standing. Okay, so that's the bottom half of the eagle pose. So what we're going to do now is work on the top half, which is where the shoulder warming up came from, because it's quite a strong shoulder pose. So we are going to start by bringing our arms straight out in front of us, palms together or facing each other at shoulder width And we're going to internally rotate the shoulders to twist the palms so they're facing out. And does that feel okay on everyone's shoulders? Lovely, okay. We're then going to, for the purposes of the first side, cross the right arm over the left. So I'm going to do it the opposite way around to you. I'm doing the same way. And then we're going to externally rotate the shoulders. So roll the shoulders backwards so the palms twist in towards each other. Don't need to be touching. Now, if that's too strong, if it's sore at all, and it's really uncomfortable, we can literally just bring the palms together and squeeze the elbows tight towards each other. And again, the same way as we did with our block, we're still creating that strength, that squeezing sensation, and that's absolutely fine. Otherwise, if you're happy, we can have our arms crossed. Very nice, lovely. And release, and then give yourselves a nice little shake. And then we're going to do that on the other side. So we're going to come with our arms forward. We're going to turn in, so internally rotate the shoulders, palms go out to the side. We're then going to cross right arm over left, opposite side for me, and then externally rotate the shoulders and bring the palms together. And again, if that's really uncomfortable, we can just come back to palms together, squeezing the elbows. I think everyone's got this though. Lovely. For that really nice stretch across the upper back. Beautiful. And release, and give yourself a little shake. Okay, so now we're going to bring the two halves together. So a nice challenge of our balance. And what we can do is we can utilise the block if that was better for you on the standing on the bottom half of the pose. So we're going to start by sitting back with our hips. We're going to cross our left leg over our right. I'm going to do it the opposite way to you now. So left leg over right. Toes to block, or tuck the toe. Lovely. So now we've got the bottom half stable. We are going to reach the arms forward, internally rotate the shoulders, palms out, and this time we are going to cross left arm under right, externally rotate the shoulders and palms come together. And that is your eagle pose. Lovely. Nice breath in. And if you want to challenge the balance, you can lean forward slightly. Very nice. And inhale. And release the arms. And release the legs. Smashing. Okay, and over to the other side. So move the block just in case we want that to use near to your foot. So this time we're going to take right leg over left. So sitting hips back, we are going to cross the right over left. Either utilise the block or, if it's comfortable, toes tuck in behind that calf, squeezing together to make that nice straight line. And then hands come forward. Internally rotate the shoulders, palms come out. This time we are crossing left arm under right, sorry, right over left. Then we are externally rotating the shoulders and bringing our palms together. And again, if you would like to challenge your balance, we can come forward. Another nice deep breath in and exhale, and breath in and release the arms and release the legs. and give yourself a nice little shake. And you might feel that there's a little bit of shaking and a little bit of heat that's been created during the course of that eagle pose. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed challenging your balance. Okay, so we are now going to come into the second of our flows. And this is going to be, again, a nice example of working with the breath and the movement together. So we're going to start off the flow in the same way as we did the second round of our first flow. So with our classic inhale, forward fold and half lift. And then we'll be going back through our flow, so either our chaturanga and upward dog, or our knees, chest, chin, and our baby cobra. And then back into our downward dog, and then we'll add on from there. So if we come to the top of our mats, and in fact I think I'm going to, no, that's fine. Okay, so inhale in, and exhale down into our forward fold. Inhale, hands to shin, and exhale, forward fold. Lovely, and we're stepping back into our high plank, and then your choice of your flow. Upward facing dog, and then back down into our downward facing dog. Nice breath here, and exhale, and then on the inhale we are going to step forward with our left leg, and we're going to ground the back heel and push back onto the outer edge of our back foot and cartwheel our arms up into our warrior two. Now, just take a moment here to have a little look at your alignment. So generally, we will be having our back foot facing towards the side of the mat, front foot facing forward. And really you're looking for the heel of your front foot to perhaps be somewhere between the heel of the back foot and the arch of the back foot in terms of your alignment between the two. Front leg nice and strong and bent, but not past the toes. So nice straight line, knee to ankle. And what we're trying to avoid doing with that front leg in our warrior two is trying to avoid collapsing inwards. Now a good way to think about that is to see if you can look at your big toe on the inside of that leg. Now in terms of our pelvis, nice neutral pelvis, and then nice relaxed shoulders, and then we are stretching the arms out front and back, really good energy. So stretch out through those fingers, really nice strong pose. Feel the power of our warrior two. Breath in, breath out. Now on the next breath in, we're going to take our peaceful warrior. So our back hand comes back to the thigh and our front arm lifts backwards and over. So really nice stretch down the front body. And then we are going to come over into our side angle. So front elbow to front knee, and arm comes up and round. And again, fingertips stretching, nice energy from fingertips all the way down to that back ankle. Now on your next inhale, we'll come back into our peaceful warrior. And then forward into our side angle. Inhale back. And exhale forward. Inhale back. And exhale forward, lovely. Really nice. And we're going to inhale back to our warrior two. And we're going to do our half moon. So you can have your blocks for this. We're in our warrior two. And we are going to allow the front of our mat for us to drop the body weight over that front leg as we lift the back leg. And then you can have your block in front of you, either upright or down if you want a bit of extra height. I'm going to lift the back leg. And then we're going to, struggling with my own balance now. We're going to rotate that hip so that the toes of the feet are pointing towards the side of your mat. And once you've got your balance, we can lift the right arm up towards the sky. Lovely, really good. And really, don't worry, if you come out of this, you can literally just go back in. It's a really nice one to play with. And if you want to challenge your balance even more, we can look up towards that right arm, the arm that's coming up towards the sky. Or if you want to challenge your balance even more than that, which I don't think I'm feeling today, but you can lift that arm up off of the floor so that your only point of contact is this front foot. Lovely. Now we're going to bring our right arm down to meet our left. Whoop. We're going to turn that back foot down so that it's facing towards the floor, and then come back into our forward fold. Breath in, breath out, and then inhale and roll up. Arms up towards the sky, and exhale down to heart center. And then we're going to take it to the other side. So, sorry, let me make sure I've got my correct feet. So inhale up and exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, hands plant, step back to our high plank. Lovely. Then your option on the flow. Inhale up and exhale into our downward facing dog. Lovely. And this time we're going to step forward with our right foot between our hands, ground the back heel, weight through the outer edge, and cartwheel the arms up into our warrior two on the other side. So just take a moment to find your alignment. That nice energy through the arms. Take a moment, and then we are going to inhale back and then exhale forward into our side angle. And exhale back, inhale back. And exhale forward. Lovely. And inhale back. And exhale forward. And inhale back. And forward. And then we're going to inhale into our warrior two. Lovely. Really nice. I'm going to take our half moon on the other side. So again, maybe step that foot in just a little bit. And then we're going to allow front hand to drop down towards the floor as our back leg lifts. We're going to turn that top hip outwards and then top arm towards the sky. Lovely, really nice. Sometimes easier on one side than the other. Okay, so again, you can challenge the balance by lifting that hand up off the floor or by looking up towards that top pound. Lovely. And then we're going to bring that top arm down, turn in the top hip and drop left leg to meet right into our final forward fold. Nice breath in, breath out, and then we're going to roll up. Arms up, nice big inhale, reach, 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 and then exhale, hands to heart center. Lovely. Okay, so we're going to now come down onto our mats, and we are going to just take a couple of stretches for finishing off our class today. So we're going to start by having the knees bent, and we'll roll back down towards the mat. soles of the feet on the floor, knees reaching up towards the sky. And we're going to take firstly our left leg, place it over our right knee. And then you can either just use the strength of that bottom leg to push inwards. So you create a nice stretch through that left hand glute. Or if it's accessible for you, you can reach through and grab the back of that thigh and just use your arms to pull in that front leg so that you're getting a slightly deeper stretch into that hamstring. Lovely. Hopefully that feels like a really nice stretch. One more breath in. And then release. And then we'll literally switch sides. So now right ankle comes over the left knee. And again, you can either just push that knee in, or we can grab behind the thigh and pull that in. And again, just a few breaths here. You can have a little bit of movement. It feels nice. Sometimes a very slight adjustment just either increases or moves that stretch to a slightly different place in the muscle, which feels lovely. And again, we're gonna release that leg and uncross the ankle. Now we're gonna bring knees together. Arms are gonna go out to the side, so in a nice cross. And we are going to drop the knees off to the right hand side whilst looking over our left shoulder. And this will create a lovely twist in the sort of middle of the back. A really nice decompression of the spine. You might feel that twist, that stretch in the spine, sort of even coming into the hip area. If you have a little bit of tightness there, just breathe into the spine. Lovely. And then we're going to inhale the knees back up to centre, and literally we're just going to take that off to the other side. So your knees coming off to the left, and you'll be looking over your right shoulder. Lovely. Hopefully that feels really nice on the body. And we're going to inhale, knees up. And you'll be glad to know we are going to come into our Shavasana. So our Shavasana we can take either in the classic Shavasana pose, in which case you might just want to wriggle your shoulders a little bit underneath you, and palms facing up, hands nice and loose towards the sky. Then we'll straighten those legs out, about hip width apart, and just allow the ankles and the feet to relax out to the sides. Now, if that does feel like a little bit of a strain on the lower back, it can sometimes feel a little bit uncomfortable, we can, as an option, bring soles of the feet to the floor, so knees bent, and then soles of the feet together, and allow the knees to drop out to the side. So this is our Supta Baddha, our reclined butterfly pose. And sometimes that can feel just a little bit more comfortable on the lower back, but please take whatever option you feel most comfortable in. And we are going to close down the eyes and just take some really nice, relaxed, easy breaths, So inhaling in and inhaling out. Feel the heartbeat slowing down. And at the start of class, I said that we would use this few minutes of time at the end of our practice just to reflect on one of the niyamas or the behaviours of the yoga practice. And even those people who are really dedicated practicing yogis and try to adopt the behaviours and the practices still have the odd niggling thought that, oh, I wish I could do this, or I'd be happier if this happened. So whether it's I'd be happier if I lost weight, or I'd be happier if I had a different job, or I'd be happier if I met someone new, or I'd be happier if I could hold my half moon and have my hand off the floor and be able to look to the sky and balance perfectly. There's always one or two things that probably we all think, oh, if only I could do that, then I'd be happier. And having the urge to improve, to expand our minds and to push ourselves towards a goal certainly isn't a bad thing. It just becomes bad when we base our entire sense of peace and happiness upon it. And Santosha, or contentment, doesn't mean idly sitting back and relinquishing the need to do anything. It simply means accepting and appreciating what we have and what we are already, and moving forwards from there. So this might not seem so simple at first. If it were, then we'd all be a lot more content with ourselves instead of constantly looking for the next thing that promises to make us better. This is a difficult practice because it's in our nature to want more, to not let ourselves rest until we've satisfied some temporary urge. But we do have to consider what goals are really important in our lives, our world, and our well-being. Getting that promotion, buying the car, the house, meeting someone and falling in love are all things that we seek outside of ourselves in order to make us happy. And sooner or later, those things, or at least the initial joy of those things, leaves. And once we've fixed something in our lives, another thing just seems to break. It's an endless spiral of juggling happiness, sadness, love and fear. So how do we escape this and move further towards that sense of Santosha? There's a well-known yogic text that teaches us not to look outside of ourselves for happiness, but to realise that peace and happiness lie within us. And when we rely on things which are external to us to bring us freedom, we inevitably bind ourselves to discontentment even more. Our ego experiences joy, pain, loss, desire, greed, and happiness. And we ultimately become attached to these experiences by either attempting to push them away or by clinging to them. Who we truly are lies within. Realising this, we can come closer to accepting that as the world changes constantly around us, what makes us happy one moment might cause us grief the next. Who we truly are underneath is unchanging, pure and true, and more than good enough. If you're looking for happiness, look no further. It's already inside you, and there are plenty of ways to uncover it on and off of our yoga mats. So to finish our practice, we'll take Couple more breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And we'll have a little movement by wiggling our fingers. And if your legs are extended, maybe a little wiggle of your toes. If you're in your butterfly, maybe take the hands to the outside of the knees and push the knees together and just straighten out those legs and give them a little wiggle up and down. And take our arms up overhead. Give ourselves a really nice long big body stretch. And then in a final act of self-love, we will bend our knees, place our arms around the knees and hug them into our chests in a nice big hug. Soles of the feet back onto the floor and just roll gently over to one side. And once you're ready, come back to a nice, easy seated position. You can keep your eyes closed. Hands resting on the knees. And we're just going to take a nice big inhale, arms rise up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll take one more of those, up overhead. And hands down to our heart center. And just bowing down towards our heart. Take a moment to reflect on the fact that you are more than good enough, that you can be content with that which you already have. And as we come into the new season, try and take that feeling of contentment with you. You can blink open the eyes. And I'd just like to say thank you to all of you for attending and giving me the opportunity to practice my teaching on you, and I hope that you have enjoyed your class today. So, namaste.